welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Liz, the Disability Policy for All. September is known for back to school season, and that includes students with disability. I have the great pleasure of interviewing Meg
Grigal,
who is the co-principal investigator at Think College and also a national expert on post-secondary education and transition for people with intellectual and developmental disability. So welcome, Meg.
Thanks, Liz.
The first question is, how do you help people with intellectual disability talk about college?
Well, that's a big question. So I do work for an organization called Think College, which is based at another USED, at the Institute for Community Inclusion at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. And as a part of Think College, we have a number of projects, all of them helping people with intellectual disability either learn about college, go to college, or demonstrate the impact that college can have on their lives. So one of the main things that we do is we have a website called thinkcollege.net, and it lists all of the programs in the United States. It has a database called College Search that lists all the programs in the United States that are enrolling students who have intellectual disability. And it tells a lot of information about what the programs offer and how much they cost and what services are available. So this database has been updated probably 4 or 5 times, and it's the only national resource for families and students who are interested in learning more about college or knowing what's available in their state or a nearby state. They can use this as a resource to begin their college search. So that's one of the ways that we help people learn and think about college. Some of the other resources we have on the website include a film that we did, a documentary film called Rethinking College, that we did because we knew that for some people who haven't been involved in inclusive higher education or haven't worked with colleges and universities that have enrolled students with intellectual disability, it may not be a familiar topic and they may not really understand that it's happening. So we created the film to help engage people and help them see what it looks like and hear from the students on the campus and hear from their faculty and the staff and the leadership about why it's important to have an inclusive higher education experience, and that inclusivity should include people with all different types of abilities, including people with intellectual disability. So those are some of the things that we do through our projects.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
The next question is, can you explain to the viewers what did the Higher Education Act is and why is it so important for people with intellectual disabilities education?
Yeah, so the Higher Education Act was reauthorized in 2008. And it was really, really important for people with intellectual disability because for the first time in legislation that addressed higher education for all people in the country, before the law, students with intellectual disability couldn't access federal student aid because they didn't meet the requirements for it. Prior to the reauthorization, you had to be a matriculating student, you had to have a high school diploma or a GED, and you had to have passed an ability to benefit test in order to even apply for federal aid, for financial aid. With the reauthorization, that changed, and suddenly students who didn't have a high school diploma, and weren't seeking to matriculate toward a degree, like a bachelor's degree, could access federal student aid if they were financially eligible. That meant they had a financial need. It allowed people for whom college wasn't really an option before access to financial aid to go to college. So that was a really big change that happened because of the law. And now we have data on over 2,245 students who've done just that.
Wow.
Who've taken courses, they've taken over 20,000 courses. 10,000 of those courses were in typical college courses, included with peers with other disabilities or without disabilities. So it's really empowering to be able to share those students' stories and help it move policy forward to increase more options.
That's so exciting, and I can imagine that once people can go to college, they feel so good about themselves, and all people, regardless of who you are, should do that.
I think you're absolutely right, and the accessing college increases your self-esteem and your motivation, and sometimes it just changes who you think you can be, because you go to college and you get to try on new things that you didn't know existed before.
Yeah.
So it really broadens people's horizons.
A follow-up question about financial aid.
Mm-hmm.
What about if you need a support person to help people read or help people just walk or whatever they need that is included in a teacher's job description? Does that person get financial aid?
So the financial aid would be awarded to the student, not to the person providing support. So, but many of the students who have intellectual disability and are attending college require various supports. So those supports can be paid for in different ways. In some cases, the supports are folded into the tuition at the university. So it's a part of what they pay to go to attend classes. In some cases, those supports are paid for potentially by a Medicaid waiver funds or through a partnership with vocational rehabilitation, depending on what the supports are around.
Okay, great, thank you.
Sure.
The last question is, why should our viewers care about this, and how can we help?
Oh, why should you care about it? Because higher expectations mean better outcomes. I mean, your viewers care about disability policy, and your viewers see the potential in all people. And I think that college, while it is not for everybody, should be on the table for everybody, and it should be talked about at every IEP meeting from kindergarten on. I think sometimes we make presumptions about people's potential for future education based on a disability label, and it's so limiting. Some of the students who have gone on to college through the TIPSID model demonstration programs, had those projects not existed, those individuals may have been in sheltered workshops making sub-minimum wage. And instead, they're taking college classes and working part-time on a college campus. And the potential in those individuals is identical. It's the opportunities that are presented to them that are different. And I think that's why people should care, because if you don't present it as an opportunity, there's no way you're going to have the chance to build the skills and build the motivation and create the pathways to that opportunity. So I think people should care, because there's so much potential left on the table when we don't really offer the chance for higher learning to everyone.
Thank you. And if you have any more questions about this or any other policy issues, please go to the AUCG webpage and look for this week's e-brief. And if you have any questions or comments about this week's Tuesdays with Liz, please leave them in the space below. Thank you and have a nice day. Thanks again, Meg.
Thanks, Liz.
Bye.